Hi everyone, and welcome back to Understanding Depression, the podcast where we talk openly and honestly about mental health, break down stigma, and share information that matters. I'm really glad you're here today because we're going to explore a question that confuses a lot of people. Why do happy people get depressed? It seems like a contradiction, right? If someone's happy, if they're smiling, successful, maybe even admired by others, why would they struggle with something as heavy as depression? Today, we're going to unpack this topic carefully. We'll dive into what's really happening beneath the surface, why appearances can be deceiving, and why depression doesn't discriminate, even against people who seem to have it all. So grab a cozy seat or take me along on your walk, and let's get into it. Let's start with something really important. Happiness and depression are not exact opposites. Someone can feel joy in certain moments, laugh at jokes, celebrate milestones, and still wrestle with deep sadness, emptiness, or hopelessness underneath. In fact, many people with depression become experts at masking what they're feeling. They learn how to wear a happy face so they can fit into social expectations. Sometimes they do it to protect their loved ones from worrying. Other times, they do it because they're afraid of being judged or misunderstood. There's even a term for this. It's called smiling depression. It describes people who outwardly appear fine, or even cheerful, but internally are struggling deeply. Think about it this way. If you broke your leg, no one would expect you to run a marathon. But when someone's heart and mind are hurting, society often still expects them to keep running through life. This creates pressure to hide the pain instead of addressing it. In many cultures today, there's an enormous amount of pressure to be constantly happy. We see it all over social media. Beautiful vacations, perfect families, amazing careers. Happiness has almost become a performance, something we're supposed to display to prove we're doing life right. But life is much more complex than that. Real happiness isn't a permanent state. Everyone, no matter how successful, loved, or cheerful they seem, will experience moments of sadness, doubt, fear, and loss. When people feel like they must be happy all the time, or worse, when they believe there's something wrong with them if they're not, they can fall into a trap where they ignore their true emotions, bury their struggles, and deny themselves the help they need. And sometimes, the loneliest place to be is when you're suffering but everyone around you thinks you're fine. It's important to also understand that depression isn't only about external circumstances. It's not just bad things happening that cause depression. Sometimes, it's about what's happening inside the brain and body. People with depression often have differences in their brain chemistry, hormone levels, or genetic makeup. Even someone with a perfect life on paper can experience depression because of these biological vulnerabilities. Imagine it like this. If someone has asthma, it doesn't matter how beautiful the weather is, they might still struggle to breathe. Similarly, depression isn't always triggered by external unhappiness. It can arise internally, often without an obvious external cause. There's also the psychological side. Perfectionism, unresolved trauma, chronic stress, and negative thinking patterns can contribute significantly to depression. A person can achieve great things, yet secretly feel they're never good enough, or carry old wounds that haven't healed, even though outwardly they seem strong and joyful. One of the dangers in thinking happy people can't be depressed is that it isolates those who are suffering. When someone feels invalidated, like their pain isn't real enough, it becomes harder for them to seek help. They might think, I shouldn't feel this way. I have no right to be depressed. Or if I tell people how I'm feeling, they'll think I'm ungrateful or weak. This shame and confusion can delay healing. It can also make depression worse, leading to deeper feelings of guilt, loneliness, and despair. That's why education and compassion are so critical. We need to understand that depression doesn't have a single face. It can affect the person laughing the loudest at the party, the friend who always checks in on others, or the colleague who just got a big promotion. No one is immune. Let's think about some real-life examples. There have been countless celebrities, artists, and public figures who seemed incredibly joyful or successful, but later shared their battles with depression. Robin Williams comes to mind, a brilliant comedian who brought so much laughter to millions, yet struggled with deep personal pain. Or Chester Bennington, the lead singer of Linkin Park, whose music often spoke of pain, despite his outward charisma. These stories remind us that depression can hide in plain sight. They also show that being able to make others happy doesn't mean someone feels whole inside. Sometimes, the people who work hardest to uplift others are the ones who know firsthand what it's like to feel low. So, what can we do with this information? First, we can stop assuming. Just because someone seems okay doesn't mean they are. Check in on your friends, even the ones who seem the happiest. Ask open, genuine questions like, "Hey, how are you really doing?" Second, we can validate all experiences. Feeling depressed doesn't require an explanation or a permission slip. You don't have to earn your pain by having something visibly wrong. Third, we can normalize seeking help. Therapy, medication, support groups, they're not signs of weakness. They're tools for healing. Just like you'd go to a doctor for a broken bone, it's healthy and smart to seek help for mental health struggles. And finally, we can be gentle with ourselves. You're allowed to have bad days. You're allowed to not be okay, even if others don't understand why. Your emotions are real and deserve care. If you take away one thing from today, let it be this: depression doesn't care how much you smile. It doesn't care how good your life looks on the outside. It's an illness, not a flaw. And the more we understand that, the more compassion we can bring into the world, for others, and for ourselves. If you're struggling right now, know that you are not alone. You are seen, you are valued, and help is available. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If this episode resonated with you, please consider sharing it with a friend, leaving a comment, or subscribing for more conversations like this. Every listener matters here, and your voice matters too. Until next time, take gentle care of yourself.